Warhammer the Old World sales model is bad, stupid, awful, and probably some other words that I can't repeat here. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Let's jump in. Let me first deal with the obvious counterpoint to the argument I'm going to make. Effectively, Games Workshop might argue that what they did has been out of necessity rather than something that they could have altered. And what am I talking about? Basically, I'm going to talk about how they sold Warhammer the Old World, the fact that they have released the armies in the ways that they have, and how frustrating that has been from somebody from like my point of view. We will kind of touch on the pricing, but honestly, I don't think the pricing for Warhammer the Old World is really like been that awful. It's not like it's gone up ridiculously more than anything else, but obviously Games Workshop prices are in general very high. So let's talk about the way that it was launched, right? It was launched with two factions, the Bretonnians and the Tomb Kings, with all the starter boxes and stuff like that. They also announced the legendary armies, I think that they were called, where these were armies that, hey, you can play them, but probably not in an official Games Workshop tournament because we're not going to have them be sold, therefore you can't play them. They're sort of dated, but if you want to play them at your friendly local game store or maybe at, you know, custom ran tournaments, you can go ahead and do that. And that's obviously, if you know my story, that's obviously where I kind of bowed out. I wanted to play the Dark Elves, but I was mainly, honestly, I just didn't have any time for the game whatsoever at that point, so I just stepped away. And I kind of said to myself then, oh, I'll come back maybe when I can buy the High Elves. And only just now am I able to buy High Elves. They're coming out, I think, on the 1st of March, but the pre-orders have gone live. Since they did the Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians, though, every couple of months, they started releasing one faction at a time. There were times where I probably would have got back into the game if an army that I wanted was available for sale. I probably would have bought the High Elves last year if they were available, but they weren't. Now, I don't remember the exact order that these armies came out, but after the Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians, we had Orcs and Goblins, the Dwarven Mountain Holds, Warriors of Chaos, Empire, and the next on the list is going to be the High Elves. Now, I completely understand what Games Workshop would say. Hey, we spent a lot of time reboxing these, repurposing these, getting them together and ready, so we couldn't sell them until they were ready. And that might be true, but for somebody who didn't have any existing armies, because I'd either sold up or I just hadn't collected them, there was not really much I could do at that point, right? I wanted one specific army, the High Elves, because if I was going to spend a lot of money, then I want it to be the army that I most want, not one that I kind of want. So Games Workshop put me in that position where I literally couldn't buy anything. I didn't want to buy anything. Now, if I'm honest, I don't think logistics is really the reason that the sales model has been the way that it is. I think they did it to kind of create a little bit of FOMO. That's the traditional Games Workshop methodology. And basically just to create marketing hype for each army as it comes and then goes. And then they'll probably also be using this to buy time to actually make some new models as well, or maybe even new armies like the Cathay, which are apparently rumoured. Which, by the way, if I'm actually playing the game and enjoying the game with my High Elves, I can see me picking up them. But yeah, my supposition, if you will, is that I don't think they did it logistically for logistical reasons. I think they did it for financial reasons. And, you know, what that has meant, if I'm right, is that it's probably frustrated quite a lot of people who wanted to get into the game, but who were specifically looking for a unique army rather than one of the ones that were released in their order. So like if you're waiting for Wood Elves, for example, you want Wood Elves, you don't want to be buying the Bretonnians. Now, how many people are really in that camp? I think a lot of people, if you didn't have an army whatsoever and you wanted to get into the game, you probably would have picked up one of the armies that has already come out that vaguely fit what you were looking for. So I don't think there's a lot of people in this category, but if you have been in this category, it's been a monumental pain in the backside. You look at all the armies that are available and you go, oh, I really like the look of the Wood Elves, and then you can't buy them literally for like over a year and a half after the game's come out, and it's just been frustrating for you. Okay, that's basically me, except the High Elves and the High Elves are now here. Honestly, as I said earlier, that's probably one of the things that has kept me away from the game. There was times maybe last summer where I was like, you know what, I have quite a bit of time. I could probably get into the hobby now. Why don't we go and look what armies are available? Maybe one that I would want to buy are now available. And I got there, I went on the website, and it just wasn't. And what I did instead was paint my Star Wars Shatterpoint models because, you know, why not? I had them already. So that's been a big frustration for me, which is now kind of finally over because the High Elves are kind of here. And this Saturday, I booted up the website, and oh my god, did I go through another set of frustrations. I didn't know what I want to buy, right? I'm not an expert in the game. I don't really know. I never really played High Elves, Dark Elves with my army. I was like, I don't know what I want to buy. Maybe I'll buy one of everything. Maybe I won't. I kind of did end up buying one of everything, except maybe a hero, by the way, who I apparently just never added to the order. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm on the website. It's 10 o'clock in the morning where I am. I'm adding everything to the checkout, the basket and stuff like that, and I go to check out probably about 10-15 minutes late because I'm slow. I'm not a young man, I'm a slow man. And as I hit the checkout button, it's like, oh, the stuff in your basket, yeah, well, that's already been sold out, so you're gonna have to go through this entire process again. Now, I didn't need to add everything to the basket, but I wasn't saving my card because I don't like saving my card. I'm a boomer. And it was like, okay, now add all your card details again, go through the app process, because my Barclays app is like, hey, is this you? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And then again, oh, we've removed something. At the time, I didn't even know what they removed. I was just like, okay, let's get these ordered. Eventually, it goes through, find out that I've missed out on a couple of things, went on Element Games, and hopefully I'm in the first batch of Element Games for the Dragon, the White Lines of Crace, I think might be the name of them. Hopefully I'm in the first group there. Hopefully I'll get them. No idea though. But that was frustrating. And it kind of dawned on me, like, at that point, obviously things were selling out. And I remember, I think I was looking at Warriors of Chaos, or I can't remember, maybe it was Bretonians or something. At some point last year, I was looking at the armies and I was like, maybe I'm going to get back in, you know, maybe. And then I looked at things and I was like, oh, a lot of this stuff is actually just sold out. Like, how can this be sold out? It was months ago. And that was another thing that basically put me off getting into the game. And that's been frustrating. For this one, I actually kind of agree with the Games Workshop. I assume that this is a logistical thing where they just don't print enough models because they don't know how many they're going to sell, and if they overprint, it would be a problem. But there's always that sneaky suspicion with Games Workshop that maybe they're just not producing enough deliberately to create a little bit of FOMO. Because I experienced it this weekend, and what that experience did to me is that the next time I want to buy something, I'm going to get on there very early, I'm going to order it very quickly, and I'm going to say to myself, if I don't get it now, I might not get it for months. Now, that's a problem for me and consumers who might not want to feel like that, but for Games Workshop, what I'm saying right there is exactly what they want to hear. They've done a great job of putting each army in the spotlight so you can see it, you can play it, you're like, oh, this is good, this is the one I want. And then 2 months later, they do the exact same thing with a different army that you also get tempted in, and you're like, maybe I should buy that, but I already have too much grey plastic, who knows, let's see. And then you're like, well, if I don't buy it now, I'm possibly not going to be able to buy it, so I really do have to buy it now. They've been proper milking. And let's be honest, Games Workshop, it's not cheap, right? The models are very expensive. I think I paid over £400, something like that. I told the wife, and let's just say that the wife did not look at me as if she loved me. She looked at me as if to say, Jay, you are a complete buffoon. I mean, she does normally look at me like that anyway, but this time, I really felt it in my soul. And I was like, hey, it's a hobby, it's a lot of time, it's value for money, maybe, but it's expensive. I actually don't think the prices are ridiculous. You're getting around about, what, 30 miniatures for 50 quid? Yes, if you go back 20, 30 years, it's probably a little bit insane, but I didn't really find anything on its own objectionable. Nothing did I go like, oh, that is a completely insane. Even the Forge World, is it called Merwin? Even that, I was like, kind of makes sense. I mean, it's expensive, but it is what it is. Games Workshop are obviously on the pricier end of wargaming, probably the priciest, let's be honest. But it's not gone completely like stratospheric at this point. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's not an 11 out of 10. Probably more like a 9.5 out of 10 in terms of prices, at least in my opinion. Now, this whole thing that I've talked about there, the sales model, the way that they've done each army, the prices, I think that's probably led a lot of people to 3D print. That was one thing that I've been considering. Every couple of months, I was kind of looking at, you know, maybe Elegoo being like, should I buy a Saturn 3? How much is the Saturn 4? Maybe I should put it on the windowsill and start printing. I could print every army for like 1/5 the cost. I think for a lot of people, they will have jumped in and done it that way. But for me, I kind of wanted one official army that I can just take as a backup, like whenever somebody's like, oh, it's only official tournaments if I go to a Games Workshop event or something. And then from that point, I'll then maybe spread out a little bit. So I wanted one official Games Workshop army. I'm going to get it now. Maybe I'll look at 3D printing because, those prices were high. But yeah, overall, I just think the sales model for Warhammer the Old World, it might be legitimate. Games Workshop might have a leg to stand on, but my doubt in my head, there's a little voice in my head saying, is it really though? Is it really though? Could they not have, like, you know, produced more, actually done them all at the same time? Maybe they could have delayed the game for 3 months and then done them all at the same time. I mean, maybe, but maybe that would have hurt the sales. Maybe doing it this way means that there's a lot more of you who've bought a lot more armies than you probably should have. Let me know in the comments below if that's you. For those of you kind of wondering, I'm not going to say this at the end of every video, but yes, I'm kind of back. Yes, I've not really played the game. I don't know the rules at all. I don't have any armies. Don't know what I'm talking about. But we're going to talk about issues as they come along, as I participate in this hobby again, and we do Warhammer the Old World again. Eventually, maybe we'll be able to talk about, like, which armies are best and models and all this kind of stuff. But for now, I don't know any of that. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing as I do it. Probably do something with painting these high elves. I don't know what. It won't be a guide as such. So for now, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Have a most beautiful day, and I will always strike back. That is a very cheesy ending, and I don't know why I said it like that, but it kind of sounded good. And I will always strike back. I mean, I'll see you later. Bye.